Hello, good morning, welcome to another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Welcome, a pleasant good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to one and all, wherever you are. Looking at the comments, I can see people from all over the Caribbean, the UK, North America. So welcome, one and all. Another episode. Today is the 17th day of May in the year 2023. Welcome. Share the live. Let them know that we are on. Nothing will stop us from doing God's work, as my colleague would say. Nothing is going to stop us from being here and giving you the information you so richly deserve. We have lots to speak about today, lots of stuff to speak about today, lots of stuff. So share the live, show the live. Today is a day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Hope you have wonderful weather where you are. I saw a video a while ago of people in New Amsterdam saying rain and flooding. Well, in certain parts of Guyana on the coastline, once you get rain, some people say the rain only have to set up and the place is going to be flooded. So I saw that video of all the rain that is falling there. I think it's a current video. I saw it about an hour ago where rain is falling and the streets are flooded in a section of New Amsterdam. So take it. Be safe, you people, be safe. So wherever you are watching from, let's know where you're watching from. I know that we have people watching from North America. When I go through the roll call, we'll get to that. But people from all over. And again today, even before we went live, you can't stop the YouTubers, The YouTubers are there very early. Over 60 YouTubers were there waiting for class to start. And as soon as we got started, the Facebookers are running in. I look at the numbers there. The numbers are running already. Just a few spaces at this time. But I'm sure that before we're ready to go into the program proper, we're going to have sold out. Everybody, class interested. People want to hear the subjects. People want to be taught. People want to be educated. And we are going to be giving you the information. My colleague, co-accused, co-host, everything. He's already in the studio. Mr. Conway, he's here waiting. So once I do the introduction, once I do the roll call, we will invite him in to the studio. We're going to invite him to the classroom so that we can share information with you. Over the week, as I've said repeatedly, what happens, you finish 1 week, and most times we are unable to get through all the issues that you'd want to address because of time. When we started out, we were going around 1 hour, then we extended, we went to like about an hour and a half. Now almost routinely 2 hours, and all the subjects that we have listed we're not being able to teach all of those subjects on the same day. Things come and we try to prioritize them. And we will continue to do so. We'll continue. So share the live, indicate where you are looking from. I noted we will have regularly lots of what we call old police. Some will give their numbers and their names. Some do not give they just say old police. But let's know what year you joined, what was your number, or some of your squad mates that you may remember. Let us know. So yes, we're going to do the roll call in a while because again, today roll call is a long roll call, but I've said it is important that we call the roll so that we can know all those who are in class. See, Cheryl says she's present. So let's let me go and let's call the roll. Let me look at the register. And let me call the roll to say all those who are here. But before I call the roll, let me say that we always say, good day. Any day that you wake up, any day that you're privileged to wake is a good day. And we must celebrate and we must rejoice in the fact that we are in the land of the living. And as we go along after the roll call, we will, as we usually do, announce those persons who may have passed in the past week or perhaps even longer than that, those that came to our attention. We are going to let you know. People are interested in these things because many times you're here, you don't know that someone who you knew has transitioned. So we serve that purpose as well. But in doing the roll call, And before I go properly into the roll call, to tell you, we scheduled the program a little late this morning. Program was scheduled, and as soon as the program is scheduled, the first person in class was what? Evangelina, 8:52, and then we had Anthony. He came in at 8:54. Then after Anthony, then we had Jacko. Jacko from Georgia. He didn't say that this morning, but we know he's a regular. So Jacko from Georgia came in here at 8:55 this morning. Then we had Kevin. Kevin was next in class. Well, not class really, you know. These are the people who are in the schoolyard. Because remember, you can only come into the class when the school door is when the door is open. But these are people who assemble in the yard and they wait for the door to open. And then we have Patricia came in next. She came at 8:56. And then my friend from Jamaica, all the way from Portmore, Jamaica, Dudley. Welcome, Dudley. It's always good to have you here, man. Always good. Then my boy from Maryland, Jakey. Sorry, not Jakey, Gavin. Jakey. Jakey came in at 8:56. You will note a lot of people at 8:56. Princess All from Lamar Springs. You know, some of these people, she did not mention it here this morning, but they are such good students. They're here so frequently that we know where they're coming from. Then we had Vibert. Vibert is from New York, Manhattan. He works in Manhattan. Then Sergeant, you're coming a little late this morning. Well, not late for the class, but late for the schoolyard. Sean Rabindranath, ex-sergeant, he watching. Permission to fall in. Permission granted. Permission granted. Sean was here at 8:57. Then we had Kenneth at 9. And we had Eric. Eric is from New Jersey again. Eric is a regular. 8218, he would normally remind us, was his police regulation number. Then we had Wayne from London. It was here at 9:03, not a regular. Then we had Joan coming in next. Joan was here at 9:04. Aileen, don't miss out. Aileen came in at 9:04 as well. Then we had Floyd here at 9:06. Francis, Keith Rockcliffe came in at 9:06 as well. So he came in after watching Guyanese Morning Time. And he is from Melanie Damashana, regular Melanie Damashana on the east coast of Demerara. Machu from Virginia. Machu came in from Virginia, came to school at 9:07. Then you had Winston from Ontario, California, 9:07 as well. Maureen came next at 9:08. Then we had Lynette. Lynette is from the UK, I know that. Yes, Lynette is from the UK. She came at 9:08. And Maureen said that she's from Seattle. Maureen reminded us that she's from Seattle, Washington. That's a far away from people who are in New York and all of these places. Then we had then next we had Desiree. Desiree came in at 9:09. Desiree says she's from Georgia. She's from Georgia. Then we had Frances. Frances came in at 9:09. We had Lyndon from New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey, at what time? 9:09 too. Then we had Lynette came back to remind us that Mr. Jordan, good news for Mr. Jordan. We'll speak about that a little later, Lynette. Then we had Raul. Raul came in early, 9:11. He said, Frankie CB and drill. You know what? He drill, he put on the square to do the midday train, CB and drill with a 303 rifle to run around in the sun for 1 hour. So he came early. Then we had Bert. Well, I can't remember seeing Bert before, but welcome, Bert. Welcome. Then Kudawashi was here. I think he was absent a few weeks, or at least he did not make himself known. Then we had Derek, another regular. Derek, welcome, Derek. Derek. Isabella was here at 9:13. Patricia came in at 9:13. Felicia came in at 9:17. Tessa all the way from Orlando, Florida. Welcome, Tessa. Welcome. Another regular. Then my squad mate, Carl, came in at 9:20. He's from Arizona. 9414 Artman. Then we had Anthony came in at 9:25. Then we had Cecile came in at 9:29. Maxine came next, 9:30. Winston is a man who comes from I can't remember the exact place, but Winston was here at 9:34. Barbara, 9:35. Johnny, 9:38. Vibert from the East Bank. Vibert the regular to East Bank, them are 9:44. He came in at 9:44. And then He says here, what he says here to all the right-thinking people, to pay no attention to the cockabellies on this live. You're right. You're right. They're sending one of them to come and try to distract and to disrupt. But we don't bother with them. Then we have Brian came in next. He's from Brooklyn. John, after Brian, it was John. After John, it was Stian. After Stian, we had Bonita from Brooklyn, New York. Welcome, Bonita from Brooklyn, New York. Then we had Miss Squaddy from Florida, 9551, Frankie Softly came in. Then we had Claude Thomas. Claude, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you old TSU man, 9342, I think was the number. Shanghai, just correct me if I'm wrong. Then we had Wade at 1016, sorry. Then we had Duan at 1021. Another squad mate of mine, Carlton Lewis, 9430 in New York. He came in at 1029. Melissa came in at 1031. Speaking Truth to Power came in at 1031. Then we had a man who I missed a few weeks. You might get departmental charge. Chisel Pepper 68 came in here at Falling with your Starly More Special. Well, in case you don't know, we did mention that before. Starly More Special was a baton. Starly More Special baton. Then we had Samuel came in at 1031. Yvonne came in at 1031. Patrick, my old-time colleague and driver and TSU man, and all over the place, Patrick didn't meet traffic. He came in at 1031. Julian came in here at 1032. Julian asked a question whether we should, what about the Mario to convert to a white-collar penal facility? Well, if you're going to commit a crime, you must go into the same facility like everybody else. Then we had Lucius. Lucius came in at 1032. Welcome, welcome. Then another squad mate, Doreen from Canada, came in at 1032. Doreen, W349, my squad mate. Joan came in here at 1046. All came in at 1051. Vernon came in at 1053. Colin, I haven't heard from you a long time, man. You must give me a shout. Give me a shout. Colin Stanford came in at 1055. Chilo came in. He's the last man on the of the YouTubers to come out. He came at 1058. Then when we went live, Steon came back again on Facebook. We had Terry, YouTuber, Patricia, YouTube, Facebook. We had Winston, William, regular. Raul is a regular. Then we had Edda, we had Hazel, we had the secretary, that is. We had Ulrich, regular. Ulrich is another regular, and so on. So what we will do, as I've indicated, we're going to come back and we're going to big up some more of the Facebookers. But as I've said, the class has so many persons that if you were to just continue roll call, his whole morning you're going to take. So we're going to come back and acknowledge the presence of some of you, both on YouTube and Facebook. So welcome, welcome, welcome. What a good day it is. This is the day that the Lord has made. You know, we are in the land of the living. Some people have not been that fortunate. But before we go into indicating to you those who have transitioned, I want to take this opportunity to wish belated Mother's Day greetings to all the mothers. Belated Mother's Day greeting on Sunday. I hope you had a fabulous day. I hope your children, your spouses, your spouse took care of you, made you feel very special. Some people tell you Mother's Day should be every day, and I agree with that. You should celebrate and pamper the mothers every day. But you know, this one day in the year is set aside. So just for those who did not remember, that one day is set aside. So belated Mother's Day greetings to all the mothers out there. And some will even say that even the potential mothers, because all women are either mothers or potential mothers. And I get acknowledgement here from Clark Thomas, 9342. My memory of failing, you know, still remember 92. He can't sneak. Let me put it up, man. He said 9342. He can't sneak anything past me. No, sir. You would not be able to sneak anything past me. Right. So Tamo was there. And you know, we said, as I'm dealing with congratulations, before I do that, let me tell you that we are in the land of the living. So let me announce the passing of a few persons. That word that ex-policeman by the name of Moses Samuels. I don't know if any one of you know him, but his brother is saying that he thinks his number would have been 82, 86. He transitioned some time ago. And then we had, I think it was yesterday morning, this tragic death of the police corporal at the bridge. He was on duty at the bridge 17571. I understand his number is Corporal Dio Karan was on duty and he collapsed and died at the Arbor Bridge yesterday. He was stationed, they say, at Lagrange Police Station. And then over the weekend, we had the murder of these two persons at Wisma. There was a robbery. And during the course of the robbery, the people tried to defend themselves. Two were shot and killed. An elderly man, 83, I think, and his son-in-law were killed. And they said that they defended themselves with their cutlasses, machete, whatever you want to call it. And the police reporting that they went to an abandoned house in search of the suspects, and they found one man in there dead with what appears to be multiple chop wounds. So they are making a connection between the finding of that body in that abandoned house and the robbery. So he might have been one of the robbers who was, if he was one of those persons, then he get what he justly deserves. And then yesterday morning, it was reported that sometime on Monday, there was this boat accident in Cayuni River there with Guyana and Venezuela, where one body recovered, and they said two bodies are still missing. So we had those incidents, and then we want to take this opportunity to extend condolences to all the relatives, friends, colleagues of the deceased persons. In the case of the policeman, serving policeman, to his colleagues in the force, condolences to you all. Every time, I mean, people will die, yeah? But when you hear these sudden thing, a man turns up, he goes to work, collapses and die. People retire to bed, are aroused by intruders, and are shot and killed. People crossing a river, two boats collided, and then it appears as though three perished. These things are very, very sad. So condolences to all of those, your relatives, friends, colleagues of all of those persons. Now, let me bring in my colleague and Mr. Conway, because I know you're anxious to see Mr. Conway as well. CC, good morning and welcome.
Good morning to you, Paul. Praise the Lord, we're in the land of the living, and we're able to do God's work. I sympathize with those who passed away, your relatives, your friends. And also, we didn't say congratulations to your riflemen, like you're no longer a rifleman. They did outstanding work, so please pay them the dues for.
You're a little difficult to hear, but all right, I hope you're going to get over that. Yes, I have that to mention. I'm going to talk about it now. Let me congratulate the members of the Guyana rifle team that recently took part in the West Indies full bore shooting championship in Antigua and Barbuda. You know, they reigned supreme, as was to be expected. They won the short range competition, which is a symbol of rifle shooting supremacy in the Caribbean. Let me explain that, or let me repeat that. The short range shooting competition in the West Indies Full Bore Shooting Council Championship, on short range here refers to shooting over 300, 500, and 600 yards. In full bore shooting, they shoot, that is referred to as short range, 300, 500, 600 yards, and the long range will be 800, 900, and 1,000 yards. Now, Antigua does not have the longer ranges, 8, 9, and 10, so the competition was over the 300, 500, and 600 yards. They won the team championship on Saturday, beating out the host team, Jamaica, and the other teams that took part. And in the individual competition, Lennox Braffett reigned supreme. He emerged as a leading marksman in the individual championship. And on Sunday, during the team championship, Peter Passad, Guyana shooter, young, promising shooter, he was the best individual. He won what we call the Wogard Trophy, the coveted Wogard Trophy. That is the individual that shoots the highest score in the team event. He shot 147. Can't remember how many V-balls. So I want to take this opportunity to congratulate that team. People will remember that I used to be a prominent member of that team some years ago. But I stopped shooting for some while now. I hang up my gloves. I have stopped for a while. COVID came and forced an halt to the practice that we were doing. I still have all my tools. I still have all my tools. And maybe one of these good days, maybe I will return to shoot rifle again. Because that is real shooting, not this. A lot of these guys, I know the guys who shoot pistols might not agree, but shooting pistols is not, there's no fun in shooting pistol. 25 yards, 10 yards, and the thing. Them is baby stuff. You got to be able to shoot a rifle from 300 yards to 1,000 yards, be able to compete, to challenge the conditions, and to be successful. That is what real shooting is. That is what real shooting is. So yes, congratulations to those persons. And I want to also take this opportunity to say happy birthday. They got a guy who is now on this live celebrating the birthday. Bharat. No, not that one. Not that one. Bharat Mangru. He was I remember Bharat was a prosecutor in the Georgetown Magistrates Court, and then he was a cricket scorer. He scored at these international cricket matches, he along with Lyndon Wilson and those chaps scored. So I saw that today is Bharat's birthday. So when I say Bharat, don't get mixed up. Don't get mixed up. This is not that one. This is another one. Right? So happy birthday to you, Bharat. I don't know if you're on the live, but I'm sure you're going to be looking later, and we wish you all the best. Let me bring back Mr. Conway into the live. Mr. CC, anything you want to say at this time?
Yeah, I remember Bharat too, when he did a 1 year special facility course that we conducted at the college. And also he was actively involved in the blind cricket team.
Yes. I know, talking about blind cricket, wasn't the man, Clement Roy, the president of the Blind Cricket Association at one time? I think so, you know. But if you're there, those people who are following cricket, if you're there, maybe you can let us know. But I believe Uncle Clement was part of that Blind Cricket Association. I got a vague recollection that you said that was an appropriate position. I don't know what I meant by that, but that is what they said. It was an appropriate position. And CC, lest you forget, today is the 17th of May, just 2 days away from the anniversary when the police from SOKU arrested you. What are your reflections on that, man?
The only thing I would say, I would have to thank the politician who put us on bail.
Yes, well, yeah, you know,
and,
2 years.
And also 2 years, and not a single person has come forward going to witness box and give evidence. But our time will come. We will.
Yeah, I remember the thing. It was on the 19th of May, 2021, that SOKU, you say RV, and them came to you at your workplace to arrest you on this trumped up charge. And then the same day, it was the same 19th of May, that the Prime Minister, Mark Phillips, wrote to you and I, asking us to show cause why you should not advise the president to have us removed from the Police Service Commission. So 2 years down the road, and the trial in those trumped up charges has not even started as yet. Recently, they filed statements. I think the matters are now set for June 10th. So we're hoping that it's going to progress. We have to hope that it progress. These matters progress. And having said that, we would have read yesterday that the charge against former Finance Minister Winston Jordan was the magistrate discharged the matter. There was the preliminary inquiry where having presented the evidence, the state having presented evidence, based on what I've read, no case submissions were made by his representatives, Senior Counsel Rizal Ford and Don Cush. And at the end of those submissions, the magistrate ruled that there was no case for Mr. Jordan to answer. CC, what is your take on that?
Well, let me tell you about SOKU. And I want them to to discredit me. Suku has never had a successful prosecution for the persons they charge. The matters that went to trial and persons convicted. None whatsoever. And Suku, I said it and I'm going to say it again, is a coercive arm of whichever government is in power. They're targeting the people on the other side of the political divide. And let me talk about this no case submission. As Anandalal writing a whole bundle of trash, I see an article thing. I think Selvin made some comments about it. Now, remember Nandalal, he talked about the no case submission and the matter dismissed. Remember when he was charged for thieving law books, his defense counsel made no case submission, which the magistrate overruled and said, hey, there's a prima facie case made against you and you have to go a defense. And he went to the High Court. He went to the High Court to quash the decision of the magistrate for him to lead a defense. And the court disagreed with him. And fortunately for him, the government changed and the DPP null pros the matter. The DPP null pros the matter. Even we in our matters, it's gonna finish at the no case submission. So Nandalal went to the court, asked for the ruling of the magistrate, who said, look, you have to put up a defense. And he lost. So he losing left, right, and center. And let me tell you about no case submission. For the person, they may be the young policemen who be listening. After the prosecution has closed his case, the defense can make no case submission. And after they make no case submission, the prosecutor will respond. If the magistrate agrees with the no case submission, as he did with Jordan case, the matter is finished there. If he disagrees, he will call for a defense. And he will tell the defendant or the accused that you have some options. We call them the statutory options, where he could remain silent, can go in the witness box and give evidence upon oath, where he be subject to cross-examination and re-examination. Evidence without oath, where nobody can ask many questions. And he can call witnesses to testify on his behalf. If he's going to give evidence, he has to give the evidence first, and then his witnesses will follow. And at the end of that, he'll have the opportunity to address the magistrate why the matter should be go down the drain, and then the prosecutor will have the final say to address the magistrate why the person should be convicted, and then the magistrate will rule. So that's what happens at no case submission.
Yeah, well said, well said. And for the young policemen, you need to understand it's the Summary Jurisdiction Procedure 1002. The Summary Jurisdiction Procedure Act, Chapter 1002, spells out the procedure to be followed. And as Mr. Conway rightly points out, a person is charged, they go there, and the fact that you have what is important, if the preliminary inquiries are only held when a person is charged indictably. The person is charged indictably, and you know, an indictable charge is normally finally determined by a judge and jury. Now, before it gets to the judge and jury stage, you do a preliminary inquiry. The magistrate does not conduct a trial. The magistrate conducts a preliminary inquiry to determine if a prima facie case has been made out. In other words, if the evidence suggests on the face of it, there's a case to go forward. And as Mr. Conway rightly points out, if the no case object after the prosecutor or the prosecution presents the case, all the evidence they have against the defendant or the accused, all the evidence is presented. And the defense counsel then say, look, based on all the evidence that you present, the case has not been established. Because remember, in the system, it is the prosecution that has the burden of proof. They got to prove the case. The defendant, they got to prove nothing. They got to prove the case. So if having listened to all the evidence, no case submission is made, the magistrate will then determine if the no case submission has merit. And if the magistrate believes that the no case submission has merit, as in the case of Mr. Jordan, the matter ends there. If, however, the magistrate, having listened to the arguments, the no case, and the reply from the prosecutor decides, well, look, now, as in the case of Nandalal, that a prima facie case has been made out, then they will call upon you to lead a defense. And as Mr. Conway pointed out, in leading your defense, you can get the option, you get your statutory options, you can go and give evidence. You can remain silent, of course. You can remain silent. And for the benefit of the police and the people who are here, the rule of law and the whole system is that if a defendant or an accused person remains silent, you cannot take its silence into consideration in determining innocence or guilt. So they can't say, well, he had an opportunity to talk and he didn't talk, so he must be guilty. No, it doesn't work that way. He has a right to remain silent because he does not have to prove anything. Then he can go into the witness box. He can swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, the danger with that for the defendant is that if you go into the witness box and you swear, then the people will the prosecution have the opportunity to cross-examine you. So that is why many lawyers, many defense counsels will advise the client, don't go and swear, don't give no sworn testimony. They can cross-examine you on what you have said. Or you can go into the witness box, you can make a statement. In other words, you don't swear, you just go and say, well, this is what really happened, so on. And in that case, nobody can ask you anything. Nobody can ask you anything. And then when you swear, they say that once you go into the box and swear, the magistrate must take into consideration what you have said because it's a statement upon oath. If you go into the witness box and you swear, the magistrate may take into consideration what you have said. So that's part of the teaching for today. Again, congratulations to Mr. Jordan. But if you read today, I reposted 2 letters, one from Mr. Peters and one from an article way back in June. The same Nandalal where he was spoken to, where the Chief Justice made the point that you can approbate and reprobate at the same time. Big words. But you can't argue for a particular issue on one occasion, and that is what he did. He argued on one, and the same issue come back now, he arguing against. So the Chief Justice, check it out. I posted it on the social media platform sometime this morning. The Chief Justice had to tell him, you cannot reprobate and approbate in the same matter. And as I said, on one occasion, when he come to the Ashley Singh and Mike Washington case, he argued, made certain arguments and was successful in the arguments. Now the same set of circumstances, he's arguing against the same, he argued for them, he arguing against now. Commissioner Cole said, fork tongue. Commissioner said, fork tongue. So that is what, and as CC, my colleague said, we are confident, notwithstanding this long drawn-out process, that when the matter goes to trial, these trumped-up charges against us, 2 years down those charges, well, the one charge that has been instituted over 2 years, same thing is going to happen because Soku instituting these politically motivated charges without a shred of evidence. And what we have to remember too is that when Soku say they do some investigation, right? They send a file to the DPP and the DPP approves these charges. The DPP would approve these charges. And if the DPP did not approve the charge, the DPP asked the authority, having looked at the file, to discontinue the charge at any time. But she ain't doing that, so the DPP feels, yes, there is merit in these charges, and we know that there is no merit in these charges. So again, congratulations to Mr. Jordan. Now, CC, there's another matter that I want us to discuss. I also need to congratulate Miss Nazima Ragubir. on being elected president of the Guyana Press Association. You know, there was a lot of machinations. People went to the High Court recently, tried to get the elections were scheduled to be held on Sunday. They moved to the High Court to get an injunction to prevent the elections from being held. And on Saturday last, the Chief Justice heard the matter, and the Chief Justice excoriated the liar, some liar who took up this case on behalf of Guyanese critic. So Guyanese critic challenged the thing, say that, well, I don't know all what he pleaded, but I can't, based on what I've read, he claimed that he wanted to be a member and they refused to have him a member. So, CC, baby, next time around, we too can try to get into the Guyana Press Association because it looked as if once you get a blog, once you get a podcast, you can call yourself journalist and you can sign up to be a journalist and go and vote in the Press Association. But the liar, I don't know the liar, but the liar who took up the case, and you must read it. You must read it. The Chief Justice she did not hold back. She did not hold back. She said, only right, Commissioner Court. The Chief Justice said that the thing was only misconceived. That is what the Chief Justice said. I understand that the Bar Association has somebody, I'm not sure what the name of the body, I can't remember the name of the body, but this liar, we called before this body maybe to face some disciplinary hearing. I'm not sure what it is. But yeah, they tried to stop the thing. And then when the elections went ahead, the Chief Justice threw out the thing, said it was only misconceived. And then they had the elections on Sunday. Ms. Raghavir, 70 to 25. I think our challenger was Mr. Neil Marks from Newsroom. And we're going to talk a bit about Newsroom in a short while. But our challenger was Neil Marks from Newsroom. He got 25 votes. Nazima got, I think, 70. And the man right, he using out sour grapes. He lose, he take a piece from Trump playbook. Oh, the thing was rigged, the thing, all this other thing he wrote. But in today's paper, the former secretary of one of the today's paper, I think it might have been either Stabrook or Kaichor, I can't remember which one. So one of those, the former secretary wrote a letter in one of those newspapers, and where she highlighted, she outlined. In other words, she said, Neil Mark's comments. I don't think she used the word dishonest, but basically she said that he misrepresented what transpired, and she went into detail to point out all that transpired during the lead up and during the election. So yeah, that was an attempt because everybody know, or I shouldn't say everybody. Let me be a little bit more prudent than that. Most people know that is an attempt to take over because the vice president and the government blamed the Press Association for the low grading the government got in relation to media freedom, press freedom. They dropped 26 places in the last report. So they blame the Press Association for that. So it was clearly a move to take over that body. They move with alacrity to take over the Guyana Press Association. And then they make all sorts of claims. I see today one of the propagandists out of office that the president writes something to really claiming that the independent media is biased against the government, all sort of thing. But you see, let me tell you this. I have said it before that the government custom to operate back in the 90s and in the those times when there was not social media. They operated where they come, they use the NCN, the same organ that the Attorney General used to talk about this appeal and so on, and to talk about the Jordan case. They use that. They use the state media, whether it's NCN, whether it's Chronicle, DPI, to put out their side of the story. And most times it's just propaganda. But now with social media, people can come, people like me can come and give your side. And people can listen to both sides and come to an understanding as to who is telling the truth. That is why I continue to say that every time we come on this program to speak, we do with facts and we make sure that we get the facts right. So when Mr. Conway made the statement earlier some while ago, that SOCU has not successfully prosecuted any case, you know what he's saying. I think he would tell you that there were two cases where people plead guilty. But anything, so in that case, you want to go to trial. Anything that goes to trial, people will walk. People walk. Anything that goes to trial, people will walk. So they're going to jump up and they're going to make a lot of noise about this thing because they want to control the media. And I speak from personal experience because they wanted to control the Police Service Commission. And when we, the members of the Police Service Commission, stood up and said, no, that is not going to be allowed, we will continue to act independently, what they do? Unlawfully suspended the Police Service Commission. And as remind people, Police Service Commission was unlawfully suspended on the 16th of June, when the life of the Police Service Commission was due to end on the 8th of August, less than 2 months the commission had. So why would you unlawfully suspend a commission, any commission, including the Police Service Commission, when it's has less than 2 months to serve? Well, it was clear control. They wanted to say who should be promoted and who should not be promoted. And when we said no, there are set criteria. You got to pass the exam. You cannot have pending disciplinary matters. And we insisted that that is what we're going to do. That did not find favor with the government. And they suspend. Now, you know what the judge said on the 24th of March when the judge handed down his ruling, Justice Gino Prasad? He said the action of the president was unconstitutional, unlawful, null, void. He said it was unreasonable. All kind of descriptive words he used to describe the action of the president. So it's there. You must read, educate yourself. Read. So don't bother with all of these amphibians and the cockroaches that they're sending out. You know, when they come on the program last week, you had a few of them, is that they come and they can't attack what you're saying. So they come and say, oh, you've been in there. What you did, where you've been there. Oh, you've been under Burnham. It's them type of foolishness they come with. But you can't expect better because they are intellectually challenged. They're intellectually lazy. So that is why they have to come. And I'm talking for all of them because I know they listen. I know they listen. Right? Sorry. I know they listen. So before I move on, right now, Mr. Connor is out of the studio. He might have some problem. Let me continue to shout out to a few persons. I see we have Commissioner Cole is here. Welcome, Commissioner Cole. Tamo is here. Welcome, Tamo. Yeah, Philip Thomas is here. Welcome. Yvonne from the Bronx. Welcome, Yvonne. Welcome. Good to see you. We have Shelley is here. Who more we get? We had so many persons are here. Petal. Welcome, Petal. Welcome. We have Carl is here as well. He say the lady losing everything. Yeah, and he losing everything and he appealing. And it's not e-money. It's the taxpayers' money, so you can afford to appeal and pay costs and all this type of thing. Then we have here, look, we have yes, that is true, Peter. Old police, he said yesterday he ordered that ASP is the head of the police training school. Peter, you're correct. That is what I understand too. An assistant superintendent of police who was never exposed to any type of training in relation to how you train and how you teach people. He's in charge of the police training school. So what do you expect? So yeah, Peter, that information is correct. We have Audrey is here. Welcome, Audrey. Welcome. There's welcome. We have so many persons are here. Welcome. Yeah, FSF critics and that errant liar should have been given an FT fine for wasting the court's time, especially a Saturday. She just had to come out on a Saturday. You know, the complaint is we charge the judges, we charge the magistrates, and then to make the good lady have to come out on a Saturday to deal with the matter. Them things are unreasonable. They should. And you know, Selwyn Peters said in a letter not so long ago in referring to some argument that Nandalal made, and I posted it on social media, I reposted it this morning, that he reminded that when Giuliani, the liar and former mayor of New York, made all of those false representations on behalf of the former President Trump, he get the bar from some jurisdiction. He can't practice law in certain jurisdiction. He cannot practice law. And then yesterday, again, you hear big scandal with the same Rudy. big scandal to show how people fall from grace. And it's good to read, when you see that same man, Rudy Giuliani. When I study law enforcement, especially as it's related to gangs and how people deal with gangs, the mafia in New York and elsewhere in the States, Giuliani name is featured prominently as one of the leading prosecutors. He was a man who was feared by the mafia because he went after them. And to see he became a mayor 9/11 when they had the bombing at the World Trade Center there on 9/11. He was the mayor of New York. The man gained prominence throughout the country. They used to refer to him as the American mayor, America's mayor. The man showed a lot of promise, but then once he aligned himself to Trump, the worst part of him apparently came out. The worst part came out. Yeah, Carlton, the part of the allegation in court yesterday, you got to read these things, part of the allegation that the man, Rudy, that is Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani, the allegation is by the person who sued him that he had a thing where 2 million, paid 2 million to get a pardon during the dying days of Mr. Trump's presidency. You paid 2 million, that's what they allege. You paid 2 million, forget a pardon. Oh, my Lord. Corruption, remember we talking about corruption. We're talking here about people who lie. And when we talk about lie, we're talking about Trump. I mean, it is known, pathological lie. Then they get a man named George Santos, the congressman from a district in New York. Oh, my Lord. The man tell every lie that there is to tell. And then we get your own George Santos and Donald Trump in Guyana. You know them well. You know them well. They tell you the whole set of lies. I told you all about the Prime Minister Mark Phillips lying on affidavit before the court. So them people telling lies as well. But, let me say, I remember I said, this is not no done as you like, This is not no done as you like. This is not no done as you like. I waited on Mr. Conway to come, but in the meanwhile, let me go on. Now, we talk about dishonesty and lies and incompetence and corruption. Over the past week, on the 3rd of this month, we had a program, like 2 weeks ago, and we made the point that the man in charge of Linden, Senior Superintendent Winter, had passed retirement age. In other words, he was a civilian, right? On the 3rd, when we made the point, he was a civilian because according to the regulations and because of everything else, he should have gone properly into retirement on the 1st of May 2023. In other words, his last working day would have been the last day in April. Now, our information is that, of course, I tell you this, listen, once that announcement was made on this program, there was a mad rush. There was a mad rush to get someone to go and replace or to take over from Winter. All a while, I see somebody said they're not getting me on Facebook. I try again because I see a lot of people here on Facebook. A lot of people are on Facebook. So maybe, Rhonda, if you're not getting me on Facebook, check the site. Says Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Because we want you to get this information. Yeah, so there was a mad rush to get the man from Madia to come out by the force means necessary to go and to take over. That was on the 3rd of this month. He went there. Now the police, last week I think it was, they issued a statement to say that Winter has proceeded on pre-retirement leave. They say that, I think they say Simon is taking over from Winter. They say Kingston is taking over Region 5 from Simon. And Mandal is taking over Region 8, I think it is, Madia, from Kingston. But when they tell us, or when they try to tell you that Winter has proceeded on pre-retirement leave, that's a lie. That's a lie. Winter cannot proceed on pre-retirement leave. He proceeded on retirement. He was born in April 1968. And according to the public service rules and regulations, it means that he would have attained his 55th birthday sometime in April of 2023. And therefore, how the system works, he would be in the system until the last day of his birth month, which is the last day in April. So from the first day in the new month, which is May month, he was a civilian. So they tell you what the man proceeded on pre-retirement leave like. The man was paid for his leave. He was paid in lieu of leave so that when he proceeded, whenever he proceeded sometime in this month, he's a civilian. He's a civilian. I don't think they can even re-employ him at any rank. Because remember, the Chief Justice ruled that the Police Service Commission is not properly constituted and cannot perform any of the constitutional functions. So I don't know why they lie about these things that can be easily fact-checked and rebutted. So as it is now, Simon, Assistant Commissioner Simon, is in charge of Region 10. I think there's a force. There's a force of an assistant commissioner in that division. In the meanwhile, you have forces who are junior and far less experienced than Simon in charge of, for example, Region 6, New Amsterdam. They have, what's his name, Manny, Chief Prasad Bakas. He's in charge. He's junior and far less experienced, right? They have a man, they have, so well, that one in particular, Region 6. Then they have, according to their release, they sent Mandal to take over from Kingston at Maja. Again, inexperience. Mandal doesn't have the experience of a commander. So they use this opportunity now to put another Indian in command position. Another Indian. So you have now, and you know, people say, I'm not talking race, I'm talking facts. Because these people that put in the position don't have any experience. Some of them never even commanded a police station. And while it is not perhaps necessary to command a police station to know how to manage and to command a division, it is important that they have some type of experience. So you have a situation here now where the commander of Region 1, Indian, Region 2, same thing, Region 3, same thing, Region 4B, same thing, Region 4C, same thing, Region 6, same thing, and now Region 8. And when you talk about these things, but those are the facts. And according to former Commissioner Henry Fraser, facts are stubborn things. Facts are stubborn things, right? So I am going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it because the thing is, and again, let me emphasize this point, because Kingston went to take over Region 10 after we spoke about it on the 3rd of this month. And a week or two after, Kingston gone now to Region 5. So what type of planning, what type of succession planning they have in the organization? You move them on from Maja, take over Linden. Then a couple days after, Simon, you go take over Linden. Kingston, you don't bother with Linden any longer. You go to Fort Wellington at Region 5. That is what is going on. It is incompetence. It is incompetence. And more than that, it is part of the political interference, because I have a strong suspicion that they can't make these changes unless they get directions from the politicians. So when perhaps they would have said, Kingston, you go to Linden, somebody tell them, say, hey, no, you want Kingston there. You want Kingston there. That is what is going on. That is what is going on. I see my colleague Conway is back in the studio. Let me bring him in. CC, welcome back. I see you had some issues here. You came out. I hope you heard what I said. And did you?
Yeah, I was listening to you on my wife's phone, so I heard you. Maybe here Pegasus was in play here, man. Yeah.
Sure. Do you want to make a comment on what I've just said about the movement of the officers and the fact that they like to tell us that Winter gone on pre-retirement leave when in fact he got into retirement?
Well, we said so, you know, that he was on pre-retirement leave and then leave and finish. So he can't go on pre-retirement. He proceeded as a civilian. And then maybe they were trying to make space, you know, so that they can further indigenize the command position of the Guyana Police Force. Region 1, Region 2, Region 3, 4, 4B, 4C, and Region 6, and now Region number 8. And as you rightly said, all those are political decisions. And the police force does not have a succession plan. They don't have a career development plan, much so a succession plan. So total nonsense going on all the time. Just knee-jerk arrangements.
Yeah, and I see my colleague is asking if this commander, sorry, if this commander successfully completed any command course in preparation for the job. None.
None.
No command course. That's part of the problem I've said over and over. The people are not trained. And let me make it clear. I don't blame these officers, I don't blame the officers, because an officer can't pick up himself and just go to do command training, what they have done. And I compliment many of them for this. They have gone to university and acquired degrees and diplomas. They have done that, right? But university don't teach you policing, right? The University of Guyana does not teach policing. So even though they have a academic background, it's the responsibility of the force administration of the government to make sure that these people go overseas to training, as in my case, when I was an common officer, as in Mr. Conway's case, we were sent to the FBI Academy to do. I do forensic science and so on for senior managers and other related courses, media training for senior officers and all of that. I'll speak to that a little later. I went to the Police Staff College in Bramshill, which was one of the most prestigious colleges for senior police officers. Many of the graduates there became commissioners, some all over the Commonwealth, right? But and as I said, the last police officer, Guyana police officers who have trained at the prestigious Police Staff College in England, in Hampshire, England, Bramshill College, 1994. I was that person. 1994. Listen to this carefully. 1994, it was the last time. Since then, I don't think they have it in the same form, but they send them to someone in this country, Colombia or something, for some short program, and they do a 2 weeks thingy and a 2 weeks thingy. That thing can't prepare you. And the gentleman who asked from Jamaica, because in the Command and Staff College in Jamaica, Mr. Conway was a facilitator on that college, where you have the junior command and you have senior command. Even in the Guyana Police Force, we had the junior officers course and the senior officers course designed to train people to take command at a junior and a senior level. But you don't have these things now, so they just put them there and they ain't got a clue. They put them there so whenever politicians sneeze, they also for dry wipe their nose. See?
Yeah, and the only police commander in this country that has a degree in police duties, police studies, is Simon McBean. No other. They're not preparing those persons, and they have good relationship with the British, the Canadians, and the American. Seek courses for your commanders, but they're not doing those things there. But.
Well, they have the reason, because if you have incompetent people who are not trained, who are not properly trained, then whatever you tell them to do, they will do. And I guess the fear is that if they are highly trained, qualified, and professional, then you can't bring students to them. Again, I have personal experience. So when the Minister of Home Affairs was giving me, when I was commanding Borbies, an unlawful order, I told him plain, no, that they can't work that way. And then the president himself, Jack Dio, got involved, and he tell me, you're going to side with the minister and suffer the consequences. But I don't mind, because I was doing what I was trained to do, the professionally correct thing, right? I was trained to do that, and that is what I did. So you don't have, Chisel, you don't have no junior officer course now and senior officer course and all of these things. So that is why, again, I say I don't blame any of these officers, because they don't pick themselves up and put themselves into this position. You have to blame the system. And the system is not only administration of the force, because even the man who sits in the chair, he ain't got no training to go there. They just put it there because he can be very pliant. Whatever they tell him to do, he will do. And that is what is happening. That is what is happening. Now let me move on.
But
Now, yes, go
Paul,
ahead.
the man in the seat, from all information, got a master's degree and he ain't get no first degree. And I see the
Well,
certificate. The
well, you
certificate
know,
don't have no seal or anything on it.
unique in that, unique in that respect. You got people went to university that don't exist, non-existent university and all that. So that's the thing. So I want to move on as we talk about the man who sits in the chair. Some questions were asked of me over the past week, and some evidence was provided. And I can't say I'm shocked. I cannot say that I'm shocked. But the man who sits in the chair is making use of Section 34(1) of the Police Act to dismiss members of the force. And let me bring up Section 34(1). I think I get it somewhere. Let me yeah, here it is, Section 34(1). And see, let me go through this thing with these people, man. Try to educate these policemen. Here what Section 34(1) says. You can read along with me, viewers. It says the commissioner may at any time discharge any subordinate officer or constable from the force on the grounds that, having regards to the conditions of the force, the usefulness of the subordinate officer or constable thereto, and any other relevant circumstance, such discharge is desirable in the public interest. That is the letter of the law. That is the letter of the law. In other words, that is what right in the Police Act 1601, Section 34(1). Now, over the years, that has been proven to be unlawful, so to speak. You cannot just discharge a person like that in the public interest. The courts have repeatedly held that a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That's a constitutional provision. And a person has a right to be heard. So if you accuse someone of committing some act, you got to charge them and give them a chance to defend themselves. But you can't just arbitrarily decide that, look, you're going to dismiss this person. And let me give some background. As I said, it used to happen until it was challenged in court. And the older policemen will remember. Assistant Commissioner Cyril Bollers, he was dismissed in the public interest, challenged and won. Assistant Commissioner Hilton Cummins, same thing. I think Cummins was around 1985. Bollers must have been around the same time. Dismissed in the public interest, challenged and won. Senior Superintendent John Seeley, dismissed in the public interest, challenged and won. And from that, I talking about that is the 80s and so on. And there are numerous cases where persons that were dismissed under Section 34(1) without being given a chance to be heard, and the courts have repeatedly held that that is unconstitutional. You cannot do that. You cannot. It is illegal. I remember in 2018, when I became chairman of the Police Service Commission, I had a conversation, a meeting more or less, with the then Solicitor General over the same issue. Because and the Solicitor General made it clear, Mr. Slow, this thing cannot be used in that manner. And the Solicitor General said that all of those matters where people challenge them, the state has to pay. The state is found liable and they have to pay. And therefore, it cannot. Natural justice. The person, if you want, persons must go through this. The Police Discipline Act 1701. So give the person an opportunity to defend themselves. But now, they are the big, bad, powerful, and ignorant set of people. So you're dismissing people just like that. People losing salary, losing benefit, all kind of thing. The stigma associated with dismissal and all of that. It cannot. I made the point, comments and all of these people challenge. And I'm saying this, all of those persons who are so affected should go to the court to seek redress. There's a particular lawyer, I'm going to call his name, but the police don't know. Why should go to you like these cases? You're getting rich off of these cases. You cannot dismiss a person under Section 34(1) like that. Even if the person commits the most egregious of crimes. Because again, the person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. The person is presumed innocent. You can't assume that that is what is going on. And let me tell you this. I made some note here about it. I said, excuse me, I want to ask a question. How can this illegality continue when the police boast that they have so many attorneys, so many lawyers in their midst? Not so long ago, we were told that I think 4 persons admitted to the bar, 4 policemen, 4 police officers admitted to the bar to practice law in Guyana. So how can these acts, these illegal acts, continue to occur with alarming frequency? And what happened? Then advising the man who sit down there that you can't do that, or they're advising me and he's just ignoring the advice. So something needs to be done. So I want to know who advising these people about these things. Because you can remember not so long ago, even the Attorney General spoke about the amount of money the government have to pay out for police misconduct. I suspect he's speaking about issues like this as well. But CC, let me hear your views on it, man.
Paul, the dismissal at pleasure is a thing of the past. And as you rightly mentioned, so many persons were just dismissed at the pleasure of the commissioner or the pleasure of the police service commission. No, the thing is that a person, according to the constitution, must be informed in simple language, in language that he understands, and in detail the nature of the charge, and he must be given an opportunity to challenge it. Must be given an opportunity to challenge it. And you didn't mention a current case where Mark Bean was dismissed at pleasure too. He wasn't given no hearing or anything. They just sent him a letter and dismiss him because he went and qualified himself in London. And he appealed and won his case. So all those, for example, Benjamin Gibson, a lawyer, used to get a whole set of money from those police who they dismissed at pleasure. That is a thing of the past. And the person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. And he has got to go in front of a competent tribunal to prove whether he's guilty or not. So the thing is that you can't just willy-nilly dismiss a man, and they can't work. And as you rightly say, people must challenge them. They must continue to challenge those illegal, arbitrary dismissal at pleasure.
Yeah, I agree. You remind me there, yeah, Benji Gibson was a man, was in those days, Benji Gibson was a man, once police get them type of raw deal, they got to Benji, and Benji, you take up the case, and Benji, I guess he became wealthy off of those things. Because every single one of those cases, the people will win. Every single one of those cases, because you cannot. And one, again, you have to ask the question, this is 2023. How can the man who sits in the chair and his advisors not know that, look, you can't do that in that manner. You cannot do that. And again, when they had this last year, almost a year now, when they had the board of Quindon Bacchus, and those policemen were charged, same thing, dismissed them. And there was a nice, I wrote about it in the media. And then they had gotten to the stage where policemen who were charged subsequent to that were interdicted, which is the correct thing. If a policeman is charged for committing a criminal offense, the procedure is that he has to be interdicted from duty pending the outcome of the charge. And that suggests that if the outcome is favorable, then the person is reinstated. If the outcome is unfavorable, then you go ahead and you dismiss, because he had a chance to be heard. So the correct procedure is interdiction if the person is charged. Now, if it's a departmental issue where the person committed some departmental breach, and talking about departmental breach, when you see what the man who sit in the chair side, these people, I don't know, like they don't read or they can't read, they share nonsense in the notice that he signed, share rubbish in the notice. But the thing is that you can also interdict pending the outcome of a departmental charge. I think it's Section 8 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701. Pending the outcome, you can interdict. And again, the thing is clear. If it's from inspector to assistant commissioner, that interdiction has to be done by the Police Service Commission. If from constable to sergeant, that interdiction has to be done by the Commissioner of Police. And it can only be done pending the outcome of a charge. Now, no investigation, not no investigation. If it is an investigation based on the ruling of Justice Carbian in the Dukis case, you can suspend. You can suspend, not interdict. You can say, well, all right, park up. You can park the person up. And again, if it's from inspector to assistant commissioner, it's the police service commission. It's from constable to sergeant, the commissioner of police. So no, y'all listening, y'all make note, y'all consult with the lawyers, consult with the attorney general's chamber, consult with all those who does advise you. That is assuming that they are not the ones who give you this donkey advice or ramgoat advice, as the song say. Ramgoat advice. Before again, I got a lot of people here speaking truth to power, and all those people are making comments. I saw earlier in the comment, and John, I think she is, asked the number of Evans. That is your squaddy, CC, 9039. 9039, Mr. Kali Cross-Eye from the TSU. That was his number, and his number was 9039. Died in 1989, I think, yeah, 1989. Crashed on the back road. Yeah.
I remember.
Crashed on the back road. He was riding his motorcycle, and there was a tractor trailer pulling cane or something unlit, and he rode into it, and he died. So yeah, and that was his number 9039. But you see, as we said again, you cannot dismiss or discharge anything like that under 34.1 that has been found repeatedly to be illegal and unconstitutional. And again, I'm urging all those who are so affected, go to the court, man. Tell your court, you got to be able to deal with the matter there. Now, the next matter, the topical one, is the investigation into the death of Sir Mars, Coring Mars, aka Sir Mars. Buddy, so many things have happened in this matter that I want to know what really going on in Guyana and what really going on in the police force. Incidentally, Sir Mars was buried yesterday. Big funeral. Big funeral. Some of the things that you saw there at the funeral, you can't even play the thing. There was a lot of celebration, a lot of mourning, a lot of lawlessness took place and all of that. So, 2 Sundays ago, news broke that Sir Mars was killed somewhere on the East Bank. I warning them about this corporate communication unit that I get, the incompetence of this unit. They don't give press release. A man tell me over the week, he said this will don't give press release. They just write a story. So they don't give press release. They write a story, telling a story rather than releasing pertinent information. Rather than releasing pertinent information to the public, they write a story. So they tell you about a vehicle number when that is not relevant to the release. They tell you who the rank are, the number, and the rank of the policemen and all sort of crap they write in this release. So once this thing came about Sir Mars, let me tell you what let me quote a part that they wrote, right. The police statement shortly after said, and I quote, further investigations revealed that Mars and the suspect had a misunderstanding that escalated inside the vehicle. As a result, both parties armed themselves with knives and dealt each other wounds. That is what the police release, first release on the police in relation to this matter. That is part of the release. And then I think a few days back, they walked that back. Right away, you get a problem. Right away, you get a problem. On what basis the statement was made? What type of verification was done before such a statement made? In other words, you're giving details. You say in your release that the men were, the Mars and the suspect had a misunderstanding in this vehicle. How do you know that? How do you know that? And then they go on to say it escalated inside the vehicle. As a result, both parties, there is Mars and this other man, that is what they're saying, armed themselves with knives and wounded each other. That is what the release said. Then they walk it back with some stupid further statement. But I'm saying that a statement like that should not be made in the first instance. So I don't know what process they have now. Who authorizes this release? Who vets this release? I don't know. But that is what they said. And we're going to examine it further. Then they said the suspect was arrested and confessed to the crime. Police said that the suspect arrested and confessed to the crime. But I always, and many members of the public are very skeptical when you hear about confession. Because I am saying that even if you get a confession, you have to work and get additional evidence. You cannot rely on a confession alone. Because if you get a confession and the confession is thrown out for whatever reason, then the case collapses. I tell the story about the murder in, I think it's the Myconi Creek. Man named Passad, I can't remember, Benny Passad or Boni Passad, something like that, back in the, maybe in the 70s sometime then. One of the lead investigators was Detective 6605. I think he might have been a corporal then, Ulrich London, who turned out over the years to be one of the best investigators. 6605 Ulrich London was one of the lead investigators in that matter. The suspects, 4 or 5 of them, including a countryman of mine, and they were charged with this man's murder. When the trial started, all of the confession statement, because they all gave caution statements, CS's confession statement, they all gave confession statements. All of those statements were thrown out because the court held that they were not free and voluntary. Notwithstanding that, they were all convicted and sentenced to death and hanged subsequently. That is what you call. So if Ulrich London had relied only on the confession statement, when the matter was thrown out, the case would have fallen through the floor. But the people did proper investigation, did not rely on that. They had other evidence as well. Now, in this, coming back to the Mars case, based on what they're saying, 2 men in a vehicle, right away, you're talking about other forensic evidence. You're talking about fingerprint. You're talking about either get Wong, well, later on, it's no Wong. You're talking about DNA. You're talking about fibers. All this type of scientific evidence you have to get to support. So it's not a caution statement alone. You have to get. So I hope they have that. I don't know if they have that, but I am saying, given the propensity to rely on caution statement, I am cautioning that you have to do much more work than that. Then, since I'm bringing you just now, let me take this little button, the bowl, little sweet. Then you had a case where the man was charged and taken to court. And I was shocked to see the murder suspect being taken to court by, it appears, 2 plainclothes ranks. The man was shackled. The man was not handcuffed. So I could only conclude that they were afraid that he can run away, but they weren't afraid that he can take something and injure the policemen or others around, including himself. So the shackling, no handcuff. Unbelievable that a murder suspect is being taken to court and the man is not handcuffed. Then remember that they handcuff and shackle Takuma Ogunsi though. They handcuff and shackle Takuma Ogunsi. And then we have and then I said, when you think that the police command cannot go lower than they are now, I nearly get a cardiac episode. That is how Dr. Luncheon had described President Jagan's incident. We were at a meeting and he advised us that the president had a cardiac episode. I nearly had a cardiac episode when I saw the police releasing a video. The police released the video that where they claim that this man made this confession. They released the video to a news thing. And then the people say, let me read this thing, man. See, I'll bring you just now, no frighten. Hey, what I say? As a matter of fact, while I look for it, let me get Mr. Conway to make his comments. CC, take over, man. Let me hear what you got to say about this Sir Mars murder while I look for some other documentation to deal with this thing. Go ahead.
I don't really believe in this. I call it the confusing communication unit. There is a forced release talking about stabbing up. I don't know if they imagine or they had any eyewitness. And they said that the suspect left a trail of blood when he escaped, left a trail of blood. And earlier, in the early stages, they put up a photograph of somebody who was wanted, and is not the person with the charge right now. Different features, different everything. You know, and the more you analyze the police performance there, the less confidence you had in the investigation. I not holding any brief for anybody, but the whole thing is a mockery. You haven't put up the clip yet, but what is saying that the man has admitted, and there was it. I think somebody with a big voice. I think I recognize the voice when you want to call name, questioning the man, putting words in his mouth, then not allow him to talk his own story. And we always say that confession must be free and voluntary. Always remember giving evidence in court and some operative words that you have to use. I use no threats or violence on the defendant, nor promise him no reward, favor, or hope of advantage. Its statement was free and voluntary. There was no inducement. And the thing is that, it's got to be free. The person got to give it to his own free will. And then after you finish taking statements, and there's a written statement, you give him the opportunity to read the statement. And there's a certificate you sign to. I've read the above statement. I've been told that I can add, alter, or correct anything I wish. This statement is free and correct. I've made it of my own free will. When you look at the clipping not showing everything there. Just showing part of it. Who is to say there wasn't a man around pointing a gun to the head of the suspect with the camera and picking up? So many things, that go wrong, that could have gone wrong there. Or how long after he was arrested, he had he gave the statement. Was he fed? I saw his hands moving, but was he shackled? Huh? Did they promise him any reward? Was there any favor given to him? Did he have any hope of advantage? Was it free and voluntary? Those things got to be cleared up. And when you look at this, the clip in there, Paul, oh God, it's nonsense. The lawyers would have a field day in court.
Indeed, they would have a field day. Let me read this press release, and then I'll address some of the same issues that Mr. Conway spoke about. Now, this is a statement that is attributed to Newsroom. Newsroom is, how do I describe them? It's one of these news agencies in Ghana. Newsroom gave a release, and let me read it. It says, Brian Richards, the man who was charged on Friday with the murder of educator and comedian Corwin Mars, popularly known as Sir Mars, confessed to the crime, claiming that he acted in self-defense. In his confession video, and hear this part, in his confession video, which was shared exclusively with the Newsroom. Let me read it back for you. That is what the release of Newsroom said. In Richards' confession video, which was shared exclusively with the Newsroom, the suspect could be heard saying what action he took after Mars allegedly made sexual advances towards him. Richards, however, noted that Mars being crushed by the vehicle was an accident. Richard's video confession. Again, let me go back against easy. Listen to what's saying there now. Richard's video confession is among other evidence seen by the Newsroom, including a signed statement provided to the police by his wife. Our statement contradicts our account of to the media on Friday outside the courthouse, as she and other relatives maintain that Richards is innocent of the crime. Can you imagine that? First of all, Newsroom is saying that the confession video was shared exclusively with them. And then they say they also saw Richard's confession video is among other evidence. Richard's confession video is among other evidence seen by the newsroom. My Lord, CC, where have we gone? How can, how can the police, and yes, it's the police, because who else? They are the ones who say that he made this confession video. So if it was shared with the newsroom, one has to assume that it's only the police can share it with newsroom. Either they did so, uh, uh, um, they were, someone was authorized to do so, or they did so as part of something of corruption. But we can't dispute that's what newsroom is saying, and newsroom actually showed the video, so there's no disputing that. But how can you? How can you? You know, I remember I tell people when I went to the FBI, I did um, I did what we call media training for senior officers. And one of the things my lecturer, my teacher taught me, taught the class, that you don't ever give exclusive, share exclusive things, especially you don't share evidence in the first instance. You don't share evidence. You might tell the media what you have, but to share the evidence, in this case, the video recorded evidence. Well, let me tell them this. The fact that you're saying that this man made this video, as my colleague Mr. Conway said, that I can't see how they're getting into no evidence in any court. I cannot see, especially when you hear the story there where somebody asking him questions. Go back to the judge's rules. Go back to the judge's rules. If the person, if a suspect wants to make a statement, he makes a statement. I don't know how they're dealing with that with the video, because if it's a written statement, there are certain things you got to do. Certain things. What time they start to make the statement. And they used to tell you that you have to let the person say things in his own word. You can't interrupt. You let him tell you if you got to write it down. Let him say what he has to say. You can't put words into his mouth. You can't ask the question. This is a confession statement. You can't prompt him. You got to let him talk his story. So I want to see how that video, I don't know, I suspect they're going to want to bring it into evidence. How they're going to get that into any evidence. Not only the fact that it was leaked to a media, well, not leaked, it was given to a media house, and according to them, including a statement from the wife. Not only that, but the conditions and the circumstances under which this thing was taken. That is and we used to call, and no disrespect meant to the liars, but even the liars that we used to refer to as bicycle-like liars, that make a mincemeat over that. So I don't know. I don't know what they believe they were doing. How do they think? How could they think that that would advance the investigation, or that would make it easy for the prosecutor? How could they, in their right senses, think that that would have aided I don't know. I don't know how they can think. And again, as I say, remember, you have liars, you know. You have people in the Guyana police force, at least 4, who are admitted to the bar to practice law in Guyana. So apart from the legal advisor, apart from the DPP, apart from the Attorney General Chambers, you got a lot of people with legal training who should have been able to advise them. But I don't know if it's they advise them to do this. But I can tell you, if they advise them to do this, this is what we call ramgoat advice. They did more to jeopardize the case than anything else. Let me bring back Mr. Conway. CC?
Yeah, Paul, and the thing is, when you rely wholly and solely on confession, the case will go through the, the, the window. And they got to do a lot of forensic investigation. In my days in the FBI, I did courses, I did forensic investigation, did management of that investigation. And forensic investigation is, in the simplest term, is application of scientific principles in criminal investigation. I repeat, application of scientific principles in criminal investigation. We have a forensic science unit in the UG campus. Perhaps that is a white elephant. I don't think they have enough trained persons there. right now I think they have a woman as superintendent. I can't remember her name in Russia doing forensic science. I think she's supposed to graduate sometime this year. Even the minister admitted that they purchased some equipment that day, and they purchased equipment, outdated equipment, that the stuff that they're using is no longer available. They have to get new equipment. So if you have a forensic science unit, you got to make sure that it's properly staffed with trained persons and they have the equipment. If anything that they check the blood, and they check for other for forensic evidence. The whole thing, is just a mockery that they got to do proper forensic investigation. And also, I've said over and over again, you win or lose a case at the scene of the crime. And they didn't properly analyze that scene. They didn't process that scene properly so that, they could come up with the evidence that they're looking for. But they're looking for maybe put a gun on the man's head and tell you, hey, this is what you want to say. Or you beat you up, or you deprive him of meals, you deprive him, he cannot see his family and this kind of thing. Then you're going to promise him, by, hey, if you talk, you can see your family. If you talk, we can give you food. If you talk, we're going to release you and any kind of thing. Though. That proper investigation and say, don't worry with confession. Put a lot of emphasis on forensic investigation. That is the way they must go.
Yes, my brother, you are correct. And going back to the media thing, I remember my training at the FBI. I was fortunate, I did media training for senior officers. My lecturer there was a former Marine, Vance. I can't remember the first name. Jim Vance. And Jim, I remember Jim used to emphasize, and he said, preferential treatment must not be extended to any representative of the media. Preferential treatment must not be extended to any representative of the media. And that is what, so Newsroom said they get preferential treatment. So they give them the video, and they saw a statement made by the wife. They saw a statement made by the wife. So to talk like you remember the TV Taken, the movies Taken, when the man said, I wish them luck or something like that. Good luck. So good luck on that. Good luck on that. To get that video into evidence and whatever evidence. Good luck on that. Now let me move on. And I'm gonna show you all a video here, and we're gonna talk briefly about it when we're done. Let me show you all this video of the lawlessness that continues unabated in Guyana. Look at it.
This man is firing. Ah! Oh my, I've been hurt. Oh my God. Ah! This man is shooting. I have been hurt. My name is Roger Kumari. They're shooting us. They're blowing us. They're shooting us. Thomas Mohammed Bacchus just shot me. Oh my God. He shot me. He shot me. Oh my God, he shot me.
But I just show you that part. That what really happened there is that this man, some businessman and some people get some dispute over some land, and they were there to access the land. And the man come out like Rambo. The man shoot up people. I think 2 persons or 3 persons injured. And the cowboy country, the man just come out and you hear the shots ringing out. Let me play back the first part for you here.
This man is firing. Ah! Oh my, I've been hurt. Oh my God. Ah! This man is shooting. I have been hurt. My name is Roger Kumari. They're shooting us. They're blowing us.
Yeah, you heard that is the hysterical woman there. She got shot later on in the video. She gets shot in her leg and small. But it's lawlessness. And according to the release, the man is a licensed owner of a pistol, a shotgun, and a rifle. A pistol, a shotgun, and a rifle. So whatever temperament the body Guyana is not a real place. This man just come out and the man lick shot or lick corn, as the people would say, as these people over a dispute. They have some dispute over land, and that is what how it was dealt with. That is how it was dealt with. CC, let me hear your comments on that, man.
I said over and over again that there is a multi-million-dollar enterprise in terms of people getting their firearms. Attack about Shift Chanjapal Drive, attack about Young Street, attack about a house in Rob Street, attack about place northwest of Brigham Police Station. And I said that things happening under the very nose of the Minister of Home Affairs. You see what happened? The allegations against the PS, that people are getting their firearm by paying money. A starting price is $1 million. But it depends whether you have a shotgun, price going to be higher. A rifle, the price is going to be higher. No proper investigation is being done. Looking at people's temperament and behavior, you could be a billionaire. But if you don't get behavior, you can't get you mustn't get no lethal weapon. For people paying their money and get the thing that they're not looking at behavior. The person, how the person behaves. Sometimes he's a billionaire, but he's beating up his wife. He abusing the children. He going in rum shop and cuss up and threatening people and all kind of things. You gotta look, do a proper investigation before a man could get a firearm. Lo and behold, because he's a businessman, a rifle, a pistol, and a shotgun. What is he doing with a rifle? Perhaps it's a good thing that he didn't walk with it, he didn't go with the rifle there. I don't know if he had it there, or it might be more, it might be deadly. The thing is that people are getting firearm too easily, and they're getting because they pay money. And when they do nonsense, nobody ain't revoking their license. Nobody ain't say, seize the weapon and say, show cause why your firearm license shouldn't be revoked. The fear isn't there. The fear isn't there. So people do what they like. Or if I commit some breach of the Firearm Act, I go and I pay some money. I go and pay some money, and it's all over. Or the other day, with one where a man shoot out some rungs, and they seized the firearm, and he paid $2 million to two different persons there. Called me and you spoke about it. And they recently, they called him back and say, hey, Conway and Paul talking about this thing, eh? Let me lodge your fire, bring your firearm and lodge it to the wild. Because somebody saw him and say, hey, by how you unstrap? How you unstrap your gear for him? He said, by you had the carried back. Because they said Conway and Paul talking about it. And they said, let me keep it there till it cool off. So things, people get in firearm too easily, and therefore you'll have the lawlessness will continue.
So they're keeping it till it cool off. Well, you know, we can give them more to deal with. We can give them more to deal with. Because, again, nothing malicious, nothing false, just the facts. Just the facts. Stick to the facts. Facts are stubborn things. We will give you, the listeners and viewers, the facts, and you come to your own conclusion. We will tell you what is going on. And we challenge them to debunk. You know, they like to use the word. We challenge them to come to debunk anything that we have said. Anything that we have said or anything we will see. Anything. Now, let me move on. This is one that we were, for weeks now, I was to talk about it. This is a statement sometime since last month. And I refer to a statement where Minister Teixeira rails against the Global Corruption Index. They had a conference somewhere at the Culture Center there, and the minister railed against the Global Corruption Index. And the Global Corruption Index says, they say, according to the results of the 2022 Corruption Perception Index, Guyana continues to rub shoulders with some of the most corrupt nations in the world. Let me read that back. According to the results of the 2022 Corruption Perception Index, Guyana continues to rub shoulders with some of the most corrupt nations in the world. And the minister is quoted in the article as saying, Minister Teixeira highlighted what she claimed as inaccuracies of the global index used to measure corruption in Caribbean countries. The Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, the CPI, she pointed out that many articles in international media paint Caribbean countries as corrupt. I don't know the paint Caribbean countries as corrupt. I know the paint Guyana as corrupt. Then she said, rather, the minister identified empirical data as the only credible source recognized by Guyana and expressed the importance of Caribbean countries conducting more of their own research and writing their own stories. She expanded on this point, noting that these indices give numerous amounts of power to a small number of persons in evaluating an entire country. So when the people talk about corruption in Ghana, she take on, as you would say. She said there was empirical evidence. Interestingly, when the the State Department issued the release, and when they talk about corruption and lack of transparency in government, this is the Guyana release for last year, came out this year. They say, and let me read part of what this is the States Department of the United States. She ain't talking about that. She's talking about this transparency CPI, Corruption Perception Index. But here what the U.S. State Department said, let me remind you that they say there remains a widespread public perception of corruption involving officials at all levels and branches of government, including the judiciary and the police. What a damning statement. That is what the U.S. said. So why she ain't taking on them? Because she frightened if she got them pull in and see your phone and so on. That is what they say. And then they went on to say corruption by police officers was frequent. In August, police officer Dian Bascom alleged that a businessman bribed members of the Ghana police force to foil an investigation into the execution-style killing of Ricardo Fagundes, a gold miner. As of October, police had not investigated Bacchus's claim. And let me go on further. If the minister talking about empirical evidence, let me remind her that Vice News came and did an investigation and provided evidence of allegation made against the vice president that he taking money from Chinese people and other people to do business. Remember too, the same thing Bascom. Bascom made the allegation, and what did they do? They went after Bascom viciously. The police high command had a press briefing to debunk what Bascom said, and the thing backfired spectacularly. Since then, they become media shy, camera shy. So maybe that's why now they're leaking, or they're just handing over video to the media. They ain't got no media briefing. I don't think they've had a media briefing since then. I don't think they've had a single one since then. So the evidence of corruption is there. Allegation made no proper investigation. As I said, it came after Bascom. Even though the Protective Disclosure Act, what we call the Whistleblower Act, says that Bascom by definition is a whistleblower and ought to be treated in a certain way, they refuse to offer protection. They end up charging him for cyber crimes, some ridiculous things, cyber crimes. Interdicting him from duty, put him at risk, right? Wait, you believe that people are seeing and knowing all of these things? You think they're not seeing and knowing all of these things? You get, in addition to that, I said they did not investigate, that they bring the RSS, or some people say the vowel is left out. And they came to review a report they said. And then they said, well, the police capable of conducting the investigation. But up to now, there's the Fagundes murder. Up to now, you don't hear anything further. We haven't heard anything further on today like today. So when the people make these statements, let me tell you, I don't think they're going to listen to any one person or any one entity. The people have the capacity and the know-how to do proper investigation to see what is going on in terms of corruption and incompetence and all of these things. The people know, so don't blame people just like that. And you talk about empirical evidence. The empirical evidence is there. that according to the report, I say again, the people say that according to the result of the 2022 Corruption Perception Index, Guyana continues to rub shoulders with some of the most corrupt nations in the world. What more you want to hear? That is what they're saying, and you want to say that is not so? Firearm runnings, as Mr. Conway just indicated, people paying money get gone. The madness on the road, we all know the evidence is there of corruption in the system. What has the government done? Absolutely nothing. Speeding and killing people on the road, the commissioner or the man who sits in the chair, the commissioner said, you want police line the road, that can stop speeding. Right? He said that's what he said. You want to line the road to stop people from speeding. That is what. So I don't know, with this will come like the proverbial ostrich and telling you something. But you know, when they make these statements to those persons and people in the world see, people must be laughing at them. People must be laughing because the people know differently. I made the point before. This is not the day when you controlling the narrative. You got to NCN, you got to DPI, you got to Chronicle and the radio, and you put out your propaganda. People have the means now of checking these things and coming to their own sensible conclusions. So you could say what you want to say. The evidence is there of the corruption. The evidence is there about the corruption. Miss, hold on a while, I see something. Oh, yeah, the evidence is there, the corruption. CC, what have you to say, my brother?
Okay, first, I must say that the Gail Teixeira, to use Johnny Cochran's word, she's in the 54th state, a state of denial. And you got to understand reality. Reality is not what you expect to happen or you want to happen. Reality is what is happening. And what is happening again is corruption, widespread corruption. I'm going to talk a bit more about corruption. Well, I have a book here that I bought from Austin Bookstore. It marked Corruption, What Everyone Needs to Know. It's by Ray Fitzman and Marion A. Bolin. They spent over 50 years looking at corruption. And let me read part of their opening statement in their introduction. Hear what it said. And this applies to Ghana. Well over half of the world's inhabitants live in countries where corruption is relatively common, according to the Standard Survey data. In other words, most people on earth live in places where they must contend with the fundamental dilemma of corruption, whether to pay a bribe to receive a government benefit or service they need, and to which they may well be entitled, or to take the moral high ground and go without. Ordinary citizens are often well aware that they are the victims of corruption, but feel powerless to do anything about it. And I think this applies to Guyana. But let me talk a bit about corruption. And here are some of the key elements of corrupt behavior. A, it is prohibited by law or rule. B, it involves misuse of power or position. And C, it involves a reward or personal gain to the taker. Corruption is a corrosive element. It spreads like a rust if it is not contained or eliminated. There are many factors that contribute to corruption, including greed, personal motivation such as ego, sex, or the exercise of power, tolerance of the behavior by the community, socializing from peers and or the organization, inadequate supervision and monitoring of behavior, lack of clear accountability of employees' behavior, and this one which I like, and no real threat of discipline or sanction. You commit the corruption and there is no threat of sanctions or discipline. And I want to zero into the police. And this is MacArthur 2000. And he's talking the things that you can do to minimize or eliminate corruption. Here we say, the organization should recruit with great care, establish appropriate policies and put them in writing. Adopt a good employee evaluation process. Make sure your sergeant share management's values and philosophies. Develop operational control. Perform regular anti-corruption inspection and audits. Let me repeat. Perform regular anti-corruption inspection and audits. And 7, implement ethics and integrity training in every training activity. And a good starting point to eliminate or minimize corruption is to eliminate the code of silence. The code of silence encouraging people not to speak up when they see an officer doing something wrong. Boston broke the code of silence. He ended up with cyber charges. He ended up with being interdicted. He ended up with his allegations not being investigated. That people was able to break the code of silence. We see too much of things and it becomes a norm after a while. And that's again, corruption is an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. So people don't really bother with it. But we need people who can stand up and break the code of silence. And the Ghana police force has got to put methods in place to eliminate or minimize corruption. Corruption will happen, but it wouldn't be as widespread as what is going on in Ghana. And Gail, you can't bury your head in the sand. If she buries her head in the sand, other parts of her body will be left exposed. She had to come out of the 54th state.
She buries her head in the sand, other part of the body. What you would say, you bury your head in the sand, other unwanted part of the body. You have to describe this thing properly. Let me use the language. You bury your head in the sand, other unwanted parts of the body is going to be exposed, and that is what's going to happen. So let me move on. The crystal ball at work again. I read what I consider to be another dog whistle recently. And let me read. I read from these releases, because I want to say I'm misquoting them and libeling them and slandering them. Another dog whistle. I'm asking if this is another dog whistle. Hear what it says. Police were on Thursday investigating a complaint by the chairman of the Ghana Elections Commission, GCOM, retired Justice Claudette Singh, about reported threats based on remarks allegedly made by opposition APNU parliamentarian Coretta McDonald, a senior police officer revealed. Then they said police were on Thursday preparing to question the lawmaker about the remarks she allegedly made on May 9, 2023, outside GCOM's headquarters. Police were contacted for comment after Vice President Jagdeo told a news conference that Ms. McDonald allegedly said, and I quote, a few days ago, this is what I said, a few days ago, that the death is announced of Claudette Singh, federal to be announced later. That is what it said. And then they go on to say they have to write to the speaker, write to the man who sits in the chair and the speaker. The vice president is alleged to have said that during the same news conference that non-governmental organizations have not said anything about the alleged threat on the life of Ms. Singh or the disparaging another woman. So I am asking the question if that is another dog whistle. Is that another dog whistle, Mr. Conway?
Certainly. Although you didn't lend me your crystal ball, I am of the same opinion that will eventually. But then when you look at it, threatening behavior, and the elements of threatening behavior that the person has got to be afraid. Is she afraid? Or if I say that the death is announced of Paul Slow funeral next week, is that a threat to Paul Slow? It sounds so ridiculous. I remember in court giving evidence and the lawyer asking, man, you're so big and strong. Yeah? You believe this. Were you afraid of this little boy? I said, no, I wasn't afraid of him. And the case gone down the drain. Somebody gotta be afraid.
only that, but when I look at the statement there, I said the thing, I said, wait, like they teach me wrong. Like all these police training and stuff, colleges and so on, I went to, like they taught me wrong because I can't see that the elements of the offense threat being there. Somebody said the death is announced of so and so person and the funeral will be announced later. I don't know how that is a threat, but it's a dog whistle. And so watch out. Watch out. Remember when I spoke about um, Mr. Jordan, the same matter that was discharged yesterday, when I think it was the Attorney General and the Vice President said, oh, they were disappointed in SOCU for not dealing with Mr. Jordan and other former members of the previous government. And I said then in an interview that given that statement or the statements from the Vice President and the Attorney General, SOCU is going to find something to give to Mr. Jordan. And within a few weeks or so, that is what happened. People used to call me and ask me, Mr. Obi, man, Obi, man. And then a dog whistle was sung the two in the Takuma Gunsi case when they jump up and talk about treason and they talk about all sort of things. And I said, another dog whistle, watch out, Agunsi is going to be dealt with shortly. And that is exactly what happened. So now I'm asking the question based on what I said, whether this is another dog whistle, this statement from the Vice President, allegedly made by the Vice President during this press conference, and they're writing to the speaker, and they're writing to the man who sit down in the chair. What are they writing for? They're writing, instruct him what to do. They will write him, that is my belief, and instruct him what to do. And if he can continue to be dismissing people illegally, whatever they tell you to do, he's going to do. So watch out to see where that will go. I know one of the things that galled me about this statement is when the president asking the NGOs have not said anything about the alleged threat on the life of Miss Singh or the disparaging of another woman. Oh my God, coming from that person. The NGOs have not said anything about the allegation in the Sue matter. The NGOs have not said anything in the allegation leveled by Bascom about the corruption in the investigation of the Fagundes murder and many other things. I'm talking about disparaging women, man. Look, I want for the viewers to know what to say about that. You have a member of parliament in your government disparages and tell a woman in the parliament that what she needs is a dildo. And where were you and the NGOs and all of these people? So don't cherry pick. Don't cherry pick. People in your group disparaging you had slap and strip Berry. Slap and strip Berry. You remember that? Where you threatened to slap a woman and strip her? Berry, one of your colleagues. Where were you and the other people? And you had a woman at Mocha where they put in the mud and they do all sort of thing. Where were you and the NGOs and all these people? Now you come in and you're calling on the NGOs about some bogus threat made to the chairman of GCOP. But look, what I want to say, I can't say on Facebook and YouTube. I got to talk to them by over a little quarter or a flatty where I can express myself by using the vernacular. I can't use the vernacular. I'm here. I can't use it. God ain't ban me. But I really want to say to you, I can't say it here. You talking about disparaging woman. Imagine that. You of all persons. Man, look, let me give CC a piece of this button. CC, what are your views on this thing, man?
Apart from using the flat tattoo to go on and use 2 Guinness, man, but you're disappointing me.
Now 2 Guinness dangerous, boy. 2 Guinness, them Guinness thing turn out to be dangerous at certain age. You can't take no chance with the 2 Guinness, and then the next thing you know, your heart got left. You know what happens? So I'm gonna take me flatty, and I'm gonna take my little tubes, and I'm gonna talk what I gotta say, what I gotta say. But I mean, coming from that person about them statement, them it's really, really troubling.
And then you mentioned the name Berry. Where's Berry? Berry is an advisor to the minister.
Slap and strip Berry.
Yeah, and then advisor to the minister of health, and them things, that Those are wild statements. I didn't expect statement coming from those person there, Paul. A lot of
But no,
wildness behind it.
let's talk, they think we ain't get good memory. They think
Yeah.
we all are stupid. We are
Mm.
intellectually lazy. But the evidence is there.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
evidence is there about all the abuse of women. All the abuse of women. And you don't call out of them. You don't call on the NGOs. You yourself did not see anything at these frequent conferences, if you can call them that you have. But you're coming now to tell people about the NGOs and saying nothing about this bogus allegation of threatening. Well, I guess it's threatening language, because you get threatening language, you get threatening behavior. But if you
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
that the person said certain things that amongst the threat is threatening language. So let me see where that will go. Now, we done 2 hours already, this thing has run so fast.
Yeah.
I want to again talk about these frequent fatal accidents. Not a week passing without us having these fatal accidents, not a week. When it's not fatal, it is serious, it is damage, it is all kind of accidents. And I have not seen the government, the police, they got the road safety council, you understand, making any proper effort to advise on what is being done or what should be done to address this very, very grave situation. Nothing. In the meanwhile, you see the police advertising on social media, what they call it, flavor the dance or favor the something. You
Stage.
see the
Yeah.
thing, favor the
Yeah.
stage or something like that. So they're
Yeah.
advertising. I have said repeatedly that given the serious situation, they have to come up with a lot of public service information telling people how they should drive. What are the good things? You know what? Only yesterday, I post something on defensive driving on my social media page. They got to do this type of thing, have simulations, have acting to tell people how to drive, right? But now they ain't doing that. They're flavoring the stage and they're doing flavor the dance, the man say. They're flavoring the dance when crime gone all over the place. They're flavoring the dance. Rather than flavor the traffic and flavor the crime, they're flavoring the dance. They're cooking food and they're sharing all over the place. That is what they're doing. They are forgetting about their core functions, the prevention and detection of crime and the successful prosecution of offenders. And talking about successful prosecution, more cases getting dismissed. I read a few people walking free, all this thing, murder case and so on. And then, as I said, they hustle and charge. But if you're talking about effectiveness and you're talking about cleanup, you can't be just charging alone. You can pick up anybody as we have seen and charge. But look to see what happens thereafter. What type of conviction? Why is the percentage of conviction we have? Very low, I would suspect. Very low. Even coming back to the accident, we don't hear nothing more about the figures, how many persons have died as a result of any the number of accidents compared to the previous year. That now is state secret. That now is state secret. Even as they separate accidents and incidents, they still don't tell you what the figures are. They still are not telling you what the figures. I remember driving in Jamaica, I think, yeah, Jamaica. You have big billboard on the way from the airport to the hotel to tell you how many deaths, how many fatal accidents we have had for the year. That's in Jamaica. How many deaths they have had, fatal deaths on the road, fatal accidents on the road. It is there. That should not be no state secret. Got to sensitize people and asking them to slow down and to drive responsibly. You gotta let them know what's really going on. You have to let them know what is going on. But we are doing that. We flavoring the stage, we flavoring the dance, and the things that are to be flavored, we ain't flavoring. Somebody asking earlier when he can retiring. Me, I know he never retire. Somebody said he wait. And when I said this, I say it's threatening language too. Somebody said he said that he want state funeral. So he now go, he stay there. But you gotta go at some stage. You gotta go. Gotta go. And let me repeat and let me remind that the persons who have stayed on as commissioner, none of them, none, not a one, stay ended well. Not a one. In my memory, started back from Balram was the first man who was extended. Then after Balram, Larry Lewis, Debbie Bakar to go to threatened to go to court, and then he run. Then McDonald stay back after 55. Ended up as the deadliest commissioner in terms of the amount of police that died during his reign. Then Miss Squaddy Henry Green, they keep him back. Same thing, he end up in a rape charge, and they have to run to court, and then he get on Moses Center. Then after I think Bromhill stay on for a little while, and the story with Bromhill, he cried 2 times. So you could stay there. They want to keep you as long as they want to keep you. You got to go someday. You have to go someday. And if my memory serves me correct, the last commissioner to have died in office would have been Bobo. CC, you've been around then. And
Yeah.
Bobo, 1973. I think I had just joined as a special counsel when the order that Carl Austin, the commissioner of police, last man to die in office. So you got to go someday. You have to go someday. You could hustle and you could dance and you could do whatever you want to do. But you're there and the force is going down and further down. When you believe you can, there's no other place lower for them to go. You are contriving situations for them to go much lower. CC, in closing, do you want to see anything on that? This extension thing and when the man gonna retire and all of that?
By is anybody's guess? And there's big war upstairs there. Who would be the next commissioner? But it's a dark horse about the place. And I wouldn't be surprised if a civilian, a man who's not a member of the force, or maybe from some military, comes and take over, because they can't decide up to now who they really want.
Yeah.
And I remember Carl Austin Bobo, I was stationed at Myconi when he died. I remember the day of his funeral. Some things you don't forget. On that day, I was working in Quest W139 Charles. And she left and she went away for hours. And a man came and make a report of pre-dial last night. And I remember the day before, the CID had taken a report from him. So I watched back and I made an entry. This is my first entry in a crime book. And I made the entry, and when 7464 detective, I think it was Carbon Smith, came back, he complimented me that I made a crime book entry as a general duty man, and I made an excellent crime book entry in relation to a pre-deal larceny. But getting back to the traffic, the situation is going to get worse because they're not looking at it holistically. And as you said, they're hiding the figures like the RAS report, confidential, and as I said, they're ghosting, cocking the figures. A lot of ghosting, and even the figures that they cock in terms of deaths and things, let us know. Come forward and let us know the figures. But unless they have a holistic approach and they're banking wholly and solely on the traffic ranks, the general duty people got to get involved. The commanders got to get involved. All got to be involved to quell this lawlessness that's going on our roadway. And unless we have a holistic approach, things is going to get worse, or as we used to say in little by days, it will move from worse to worse.
All right, good. Any of your final comments, CC, before I close? Any final comments?
I want to wish the Commander Region number 10 well. He had a bloody baptism, or a murderous baptism, but see like they're making some headway. And he's one of a few commanders that I have total regards for, himself and Simon McBean. They are really good commanders. None others, I can't really give them high praises. But McBean and Simon was just gone to Linden there. And I want to wish him well. And I know that he's going to do well. And as long as he has the public confidence in Linden, he needs to move about, get to know people, establish good relationship with people, and he's going to do well. And that's all I need to say for the
And make sure that you have good command, and make sure that the ranks are professional, and that if they lapse, as we would say, they must know that you're not going to tolerate nonsense. You're going to support your ranks. You must support your ranks. They must have the confidence that if they go out there and they do their job, you will be there to support them. But if they do wrong things, they must know that you will be the first to come down on them like a ton of bricks. That is the way I used to operate. Yeah, they go out there and they work. You have the support. So nobody can come and tell them nonsense. They are doing their job. In doing their job, they are humans. They are likely to make mistakes. And if it's an honest mistake, then they are likely to be given the benefit of the doubt. Whether man leave the station to go out there for the sole purpose of being corrupt and to do the wrong things, no, he must not be supported. And they must know that. You have to tell them that. And after having told them, you have got to wait to reinforce what you have said. That is how we should operate. I go and I talk to them and so on. And then I wait in because, enough for them. They're going to talk, they sit down and they listen. It go in one ears, they come out the next ears. But you got to then wait for an opportunity for when one of them slip up to take the appropriate action so that they know that you mean what you are saying. That is the way they're going to come to respect you. So I too want to wish the commanders, not he alone, I want to wish them, especially those who are going into those new divisions, well. But having said that, you have got to prepare to make tough decisions. Tough decisions. Because people are going to come, they're going to want to tell you all kind of nonsense. You have got to be educated enough, brief yourself well enough to know what you can do and what you cannot do. CC, in closing, let me tell you, I am closing now by saying, I know Calypsonian, but I see a thing, they say, somebody tell me, May phone searching and Dr. Ram singing and businessmen not traveling. Let somebody tell me, May phone searching, Dr. Ram still singing, and businessmen are not, well, not only businessmen, and people are not traveling. So let me see what can happen. People biting. People biting. The man made the point some time ago that when they had the gas and oil thing in Texas last year, they had about 4 or 5 ministers there in Texas. This year, not a one. Wonder why? Wonder why then got to Texas this year. So that is why I want to close and to again say to persons, be safe. Be safe. I mean, COVID here is not this big thing. The World Health Organization said that COVID is no longer a global pandemic. It is still there, but it's not a global pandemic. So you got to take care. You have to do what you know is the correct thing. And then in a place like Guyana, the traffic is a serious thing. So many people have been killed standing on the side of the road, crossing the road. I saw something on social media where a man was struck down on the East Coast and they have his ID asking for persons to identify, relatives to come forward. So whether you're a motorcyclist, whether you are a pedestrian, whether you're a driver of any category of vehicle, you have to take your time and be careful. Because remember, if you're a driver, and that is one of the things said about defensive driving, you can be 100% correct. But when you're on the road, you don't have to only look after what you're doing. You got to cater for the jackass behind the wheel out there, the nut behind the boat. You have to look for those persons because we know from the statistics that there are many of those in Guyana. So I want to, again, advise all of you to take it easy on the road. Take time. Drive carefully. If you got to cross the road, if you're walking, same thing. Do everything to be safe. Do everything to be safe. And let me close by saying God spare life next week. Next week will be what, the 24th? The 24th of May 2023 at 11 o'clock. God spare life. We'll see you here again for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Stay well until then. Bye.